1,000 termites versus wood house. Now think about it real quick. What would termites do? Like usually when you see termites, they usually like building that hill, right? They're building that hill. I just see them in trees. You know, they're always secluded. You know, they're always secluded. So I'm never like bothered by them. But when you now are saying wood house, this is wood house. Not just wood house. Okay, Chad? That changes the whole perspective. Changes the whole perspective.
This is 1,000 termites, and in this video, I'll be testing everything interesting about termites, even putting them against a mini wood house to see if they'll eat straight through it.
Yeah, should be. Okay, I don't think I can watch this video. I have this phobia where I'm afraid of patterns and just like small things. Insects to be specific. Insects and patterns. So if they are lining up and they're small and they're insects, bro, just thinking about it is like, it feels like they're crawling on me right now. Bro, oh my God. No, I don't think I can watch this, bro.
Before we get to the house, I first want to show you guys how termites build their nests, because termites seriously build some of the craziest homes in the animal kingdom.
These things.
And they build them quickly. Let me show you by dumping these guys in.
Now, instantly after dumping in the termites, you can see just how many there actually was here, just absolutely swarming in this single area. But you could quickly see how multiple started to gather up in this back area near the exposed dirt. You see, I've set up this container to have a thin layer of soil pressed up against this glass floor. And this gap here lets termites squeeze underneath to start digging, meaning we're gonna get to see them dig their intricate tunnels from above. It's a slow process that only works because of the sheer amount of termites, because while a single termite is super small, there are over 1,000 termites right here, meaning work gets done pretty quickly. And over the next 3 hours, the bulk of the termites migrated across the entire floor in this super cool pattern. Dang, that is insane to watch on a time lapse.
Oh my gosh, these termites completely dug this entire area out so much faster than how long it usually takes for my ants to do it. And thankfully, this video is just getting started, because the next fun thing I have planned for the termites is to put a predator with them. And by a predator, I mean I've got this tiny little
This guy hold with his bare hands?
To be honest, who knows? When it digs under with the termites, what's gonna happen? I mean, they could swarm it, they could just completely evacuate the place. I don't know.
So the only way to find out was to put this little worm inside. Now almost instantly, it squeezed under the glass floor and started to dig in the dirt as it got closer to the termites. Now I'm pretty sure termites only eat stuff like wood, so honestly I didn't even think much would happen, but as the worm got nearer, some of the termites started to approach the worm with the little tunnels they had dug out and didn't initially attack it. In fact, they sort of just ignored that it was even there, just walking from one side of it to the other, acting like it was just some sort of bridge. But then all of a sudden, I noticed tons more of the termites starting to gather around the backside of the worm, almost like they were gonna start attacking it. Even some of these bigger termites marched in, called soldiers, that specifically have these massive mandibles meant to defend the termite nest. But as I kept watching, surprisingly the swarm didn't attack, and well, they kind of just let the worm dig around their nest.
Dang, this is so interesting how the termites are just fine living with a literal worm in their nest. Yeah, they're just not attacking it at all.
Even more interestingly, as I left my time-lapse camera recording, the worm really just learned to coexist with the 1,000 termites. Yeah, I mean, this honestly makes sense. This species of termites literally only eats wood, so there's no reason for them to waste your energy attacking a harmless worm.
Dang, that's cool. Well, I guess you guys are hungry, so for our next test, we're gonna feed these guys some wood. Hopefully, they like it.
But yeah, I don't only have this nice natural piece of bark from a tree, I also have this piece of cardboard. So that way I can test both of these materials to see which is the best food source to feed these guys in the future. And after sliding both of the food sources under the sheet of acrylic, the termites had access to them. And honestly, it didn't take long till some of the termites started to investigate it. Since putting the termites in this nest, they've had like a day with no wood, so I knew for sure they would be hungry. Now, interestingly, there was almost like no termites going up to the actual piece of wood, but there was quite a few checking out the piece of cardboard, even walking inside the tiny holes on the side of it. You see, termites like this species actually have more than 100,000 microscopic little alive creatures inside their bodies. They're called flagellates, and basically they live inside termite bodies, and as the termite chews wood, these flagellates help to digest the wood and break it up into actual nutrients somehow. But yeah, it's just insane knowing each termite body is basically just a massive house to so many of these unseeable creatures. Now, even though some of the termites were walking inside the cardboard, it didn't actually seem like they were eating either of these food sources sources yet. Well, that was until this, because I kept my time-lapse camera recording, totally just expecting the termites not to move towards the wood. You can see most of the termites were actually staying near the bottom, away from the wood. But as I kept recording for another half an hour, eventually a couple termites started to walk on top of the piece of bark. And they looked pretty excited, because soon after, a few more termites started to walk onto it. I guess they didn't realize this was food.
We found some. We found some, boys. Yo, bro, come on. We found a bunch of food. Y'all don't want some food? We got some chicken wings. We got some watermelon. We got everything, bro. Come here, bro. Yo, Jack, call Robbie. Yeah, they were excited. At first, they were like, "What the hell is that?" No, This nigga's playing too much. He's bringing a worm. Like, now they actually found it. They found
earlier, but since they had now found out, these initial termites that had walked on here started to release a type of special pheromone in the air that signals there was food here. And because the whole colony could sense the pheromones, it literally only took about 5 more minutes until this piece of wood started to get absolutely swarmed. Yeah, it happened so fast, and soon enough, the entire piece of bark was covered from top to bottom in termites. But interestingly, it seemed like this piece of cardboard wasn't getting nearly as much attention from the termites anymore.
Yo, check out this wood. It's getting absolutely swarmed right now. And it may look like the cardboard's not getting eaten, but if you actually look very closely in there, oh yeah, this thing's getting eaten up too.
Yup, that's right, because when I pointed my camera directly to the side of this cardboard, you could tell it was overflowing with termites. It looked like they were just crawling all up inside of it, and when I got some tweezers to peel back the piece of cardboard, well, you could see just how many there actually was inside, which kind of all immediately evacuated once they realized I was peeling this apart, so sorry guys.
Oh my gosh, it's only been an hour and these termites are decimating the wood. Imagine what they're gonna do to the mini wood house when I leave it in there for a week.
And after shaking off all the termites I could, you could see this piece of wood looked quite a bit different, and it looked like it may have even been hollowed out because there's just a bunch of termites walking inside. Anyways, for the final test, before feeding them a wooden house, well, I want to put my termites through a maze.
Yep, termites, I'm gonna be testing your intelligence, and if you
let's just put termites in a maze because they're so fucking smart, right? Let's try to test their IQ. Because that really matters, whether they're going to fucking bite the wood or whether they're going to walk through anything. Like that, why? I just don't get what's the importance of putting them in a maze. They're not smart creatures. Like, I don't see any point. Let's put them through a maze. Yeah, let's just put them into a maze.
With the house.
To make this termite maze, I got out an empty fish tank and I started to cut these lines of plastic to make the shape of a maze. After going and gluing them down, I completely filled the floor up with another thin layer of dirt. If you remember, the termites dug through that first nest I made for them in a cool pattern, so I'm wondering if they're gonna do the same here and if they're gonna take any wrong turns that lead them to a dead end.
Alright, then let me go and just put this perfectly sized piece of glass here, and then let me put a piece of bark, and so they'll actually have a goal to get to. Well, let me gather up these termites and I'll move them in here.
And yeah, it was actually quite a bit harder than I thought to move these termites out because how incredibly small they are. So I sort of just resorted to digging up all the dirt I could that the termites were hiding under. I even found that worm that I had placed in earlier, which is still just living peacefully inside.
Eventually I got all the termites into
this little container with dirt.
All right, he's holding them with his bare hand. No gloves, right? No gloves, no nothing. He's just going there. Yeah, like, come on, Jake. Come on, Robbie. Come on. Let's put them right in there. Yes. Man, I know you want Isaac. Come on. Like, why? And for some reason, his hands are still clean.
I'm gonna dump these in here so they can start the maze. Also, what's kind of cool is if you look at the underside of this, all the termites have just started to gather there. So yeah, it's pretty cool.
Yeah, anyways, I went and started to scoop the dirt into the maze enclosure pretty carefully in order to not hurt the termites. You can see this whole pile of dirt was just absolutely overflowing with tons of termites. But basically, you remember how the termites were just gathering on the bottom of the little container they were just in? The plan here is they're gonna do the same thing and they'll slowly make their way into the maze. Hopefully. Yeah, I don't actually know if this is gonna work. But I set up my time-lapse camera and waited to see what would happen. After not too long, this termite was the first to enter the maze, but somehow he decided to crawl into the walls of the maze, and he sort of started to break through to the other side of the wall. Now, thankfully, this was a dead end, so when the rest of the colony decided to follow this cheating termite, they didn't finish too easily. Over the next few hours, you can really see how the termites learned to follow each other because so many of them ended up at this little tunnel at the top left area, but it was only a matter of time until more of the colony started to go down into the maze, and over the next day, they started to travel closer and closer to the wood and the goal. I mean, they still kind of were cheating, but eventually one termite did actually make it to the wood. And yeah, I guess
yo,
just
shout
like
out
that,
him, bro. He said, "I'm gonna make it.
Termite.
I'm gonna make it. I don't care about them other guys. I'm gonna make it. I'm a warrior." Like he said, he really said, "I'm on that." Like, look at him
They still
fight.
kind of were cheating, but eventually one termite did actually make it to the wood. And yeah,
Bro,
I
he
guess
was
just like that, they had
struggling.
completed the maze. Good job, termites.
Well, since you guys made it to the end of this awesome maze, that of course means you guys get to eat the house now. Let me gather you guys out of here real quick and let's do that.
Yeah, it took a little while, but eventually I got him into another container.
And yeah, you can see
Bro,
how
just
they're
put the
all
house
pretty
in
much
there,
just
bro. I don't want you
gathering
to take
up
them
on the
out.
bottom once again. Oh my gosh, there's actually so many right there. But anyways, I got the house right here, so let me just, and boom, just like that, the house
Yeah,
teleports
cute house,
inside.
bro.
There's totally no
Till it's
ending
not.
involved in that. That was just magic.
Now I first drilled a hole into the top of this house that I'd eventually be able
what?
to record through. Then I also had a bit of dirt around
Right there. But anyways, I got the house right here, so let me just, and boom, just like that, the house teleports inside. There's totally no editing involved in that. That was just magic.
Now I first drilled a hole into the top of this house that I'd eventually be able to record through. Then I also had a bit of dirt around and inside of the house so the termites would want to stay here. And finally, termites need constant moisture to survive. So I'm just gonna absolutely drench this house with my spray bottle. Hopefully this will make it easier to chew
Don't
through.
they?
All right, termites. I
Aren't
hope
the
you're
houses
still
like
hungry.
dry?
Yeah, I guess let me just try and take this sheet of termites and just start dumping
Those are
them in the
termites?
house. And then there's still tons in here, so I'm just gonna go.
No. That's not a piece of cloth. Those are just termites.
and just-
Like, they just like created a grid. They're attached together. Bro. Oh my goodness. Like, oh my goodness.
Start dumping
That's
them in the
terrifying.
house. And then there's still tons in here, so I'm just gonna go and dump them inside and kind of
You
just
could think
all
that was a
around the
piece of
house.
cloth,
Let's get
bro.
this
Take
thing
it and just,
absolutely
like,
destroyed.
put a whole
Well,
bunch of
hopefully.
termites
I don't
on it.
actually know if they're gonna eat it, but that's the plan.
Now it's pretty cool to see the sheer amount of termites just swarming every single inch of this house. And you could even see them inside a little bit, but I couldn't see that much since it was kind of dark. So I of course set up the time-lapse camera and recorded for many hours. And you can see there was tons of termites that were just walking around the perimeter of the tank investigating what was going on, while others were still swarming around the dirt of the house and also climbing all up inside the hole that I drilled on the top of the roof. But there was no destruction really visible just yet.
Okay, it's been about 24 hours, and it almost seems like the termites are doing nothing.
So we're
to this
good.
house. You see, the
We're
thing that
good.
makes
They're not
termites
eating
so
my house,
deadly
bro.
to houses
If they can't
is the
even
fact
eat this
that they
small
completely
house.
work out of sight. So let's do a little more investigating on this thing.
So I pointed my super bright studio light through that hole I put in the top, and you could see the termites were in here, but yeah, it was still not super visible inside of here. So I went and pointed the camera through that hole in the roof, and I was even more amazed by the amount of termites all huddling around the wooden walls. You can even see how some of them would rapidly shake their heads. Apparently they do this to signal to the rest of the colony that danger's nearby, but yeah, you can see the walls were starting to look like they were maybe getting a little bit destroyed so far.
Yo, the termites are absolutely swarming inside of there. Hold on, wait, I wonder if they're under. Oh my gosh. That's more than I was
How is this guy
expecting.
holding
oh my
his-
gosh, there's even more on the underside of that.
His hand,
Tons
bro.
were gathering right here, as you can see. I wasn't really sure if these ones were actually eating the wood or if they were here for just cover. Either way, I kept recording my time-lapse camera, and while nothing really interesting happened on the outside, as you
We're
can probably guess, when I
good.
moved the time-lapse camera inside to start to record, you could see how there was so much more action and how they were climbing all over this wall. Surely they were eating it, but if you didn't know, termites are some of the slowest eaters in the animal kingdom, and even with over 1,000 in this 10-hour time-lapse, you can't really see a whole lot of damage being made, but you can see some of these termites were making this cool little mud ball out of dirt, saliva, and wood that they spit out. They sometimes will make these little balls in their nest to keep moisture, since, as I said earlier, they need moisture to survive.
Yeah, at this pace, it would take months for the termites to start making noticeable progress through the wood. I would call this video a success. I mean, we literally learned so much about termites.
Well,
and because I don't want to
it's
wait
a
3
success.
months
They're
before
not
I
eating
post
this
my
house,
next
bro.
video, what I'm going to do is make a
Oh my
community
God.
post once they actually start making cool tunnels and stuff through this. So yeah, stay tuned for that when I post that.
But in the meantime, we can definitely see the tiny bits of chewing progress they've made since being in here. Pretty cool.
So yeah, stay tuned for the community post.
All right, bro. Like, Chad, that is a success. Like, if we're talking about actual success, that is a success. They are not eating my house. They're not eating it, bro. Truth be told, like, let's just be truth be told. So shout out to Terra Green. You know, I had this fear, and yeah, bro. Like, generally, they're not doing it. So let's go.